The twin suns of Terralux cast long purple shadows across the landing pad as the human ship touched down. Zara watched from behind the safety barrier, her four eyes blinking rapidly in excitement. This was the first human vessel to visit her world, and as a junior diplomat, she had been chosen to help welcome them. "Remember your training," said Elder Krell beside her. "Humans are unpredictable but not hostile. They lack our sensory abilities, but make up for it with their technology." Zara nodded, her blue skin shimmering in the fading light. She had studied human language and customs for 3 cycles, ever since the first radio contact. Now they were here, and she would be the first Viridian to speak with them face to face. The ship's door slid open with a hiss, a ramp extended, and 5 humans walked out. They wore simple gray uniforms with a patch showing Earth and its moon. Zara stepped forward and raised her hand in the human greeting called a wave. "Welcome to Terralux," she said in careful English. "We are happy to meet you in person." The lead human, a woman with short brown hair, smiled and returned the wave. "Thank you for your welcome. I am Captain Lisa Brown of the Earth Exploration Ship Venture. We are honored to be guests on your world." The formal greetings continued as each human was introduced. 4 of them were what humans called scientists and diplomats. The 5th was different. He stood slightly apart from the others, looking not at the Viridian delegation but at the forest beyond the landing area. He was taller than the others, with light hair and a quiet manner. "And this is Jack Miller, our xenobiologist and wildlife specialist," said Captain Brown. "He studies animal life on different planets." Jack turned his attention back to the group and nodded politely. "Your world has amazing biodiversity. I look forward to learning about your wildlife." Zara was assigned to show Jack around the settlement. As they walked through the rounded buildings of the Viridian town, she explained their customs and daily life. Jack asked good questions, but his eyes kept drifting to the distant tree line. "What lives in those forests?" he asked during a pause in her tour. Zara's upper eyes narrowed. "Many creatures, some helpful, some harmless, and some that kill." "Tell me about those," Jack said, his interest clearly growing. Zara stopped walking. "The worst are the Drakari, 6-legged hunters with poison spines and claws that can cut through metal. They are the deadliest beasts on our world. We lose many people to them each year." Jack's eyes lit up in a way that worried Zara. "Have you tried to understand them? Study their behavior? Understand them?" Zara clicked her teeth, a sound of disbelief in her culture. "They cannot be understood. They are pure killers. Even our best warriors avoid them when possible." Jack shook his head slightly. "In my experience, no animal kills without reason. Even the most dangerous creatures follow patterns and rules of their own." Zara led Jack to the town's memorial wall. Hundreds of names were carved into the stone. "These are just from the last 10 years, all killed by Drakari, mostly during the Festival of Light, when our people must travel through their territories to reach the sacred pools." Jack studied the wall silently. "When is this festival?" "In 15 days, Zara said. "We have already received reports of a large Drakari near the main path. The council will send warriors to drive it away or kill it if possible." That evening, Zara joined the humans for their first meal on Terralux. The other humans talked about trade, cultural exchange, and scientific cooperation. Jack ate quietly, asking occasional questions about the forest and the creatures that lived there. The next morning, Zara found Jack at the edge of the settlement, examining tracks in the soft ground. "Drakari?" he asked, pointing to the deep, 6-toed prints. "Yes, a small one, probably young. Even these can kill a Viridian with one strike." Zara kept her distance from the tracks. "We should go back. It is not safe here." Jack knelt down, running his fingers along the edge of one print. "These were made last night. The creature was moving slowly, probably hunting." "All the more reason to leave," Zara insisted. But Jack continued studying the area, noting broken plants and scrape marks on a nearby tree. It was searching for food, but not finding much. "See how it dug here? And here? It's hungry." Over the next few days, Jack asked to see all the information the Viridians had about the Drakari. He studied ancient records, examined preserved specimens, and questioned survivors of attacks. Zara helped him translate the oldest texts, which were written in a form of Viridian language no longer commonly used. "Your people have been fighting these creatures for thousands of years," Jack said as they pored over faded images and reports. "Yes, it is the way of things. They kill us, we kill them when we can. But they are stronger and faster." Jack pointed to a pattern in the reports. "But the attacks increased greatly about 300 years ago. Before that, encounters were rare." Zara nodded. "That was after the great fires that destroyed much of the northern forests. Many creatures came south, including the Drakari." "What else changed after the fires?" Jack asked. Zara had to research this question, consulting with the settlement's historian. She returned with new information. Many plants and smaller animals disappeared completely. The land eventually recovered, but some species were lost forever. Jack seemed excited by this news. "I need to see a Drakari in the wild. A living one, not just records and dead specimens." Zara's 4 eyes widened in shock. "That would be certain death. No one approaches a Drakari willingly." "I've watched dangerous predators on 12 different worlds," Jack replied calmly. "With proper precautions, we can observe from a safe distance." 3 days later, word came that scouts had located the Drakari that was threatening the festival route. It was not a young one as they had hoped, but a massive adult larger than any seen in recent memory. The council called for warriors to eliminate the threat before pilgrims began their journey. Jack immediately volunteered to join them. "This is not your fight," said Elder Krell when Jack appeared before the council. "The Drakari are our problem." "I respect that," Jack said. "But I believe I can help. At least let me observe your methods." The council debated briefly and then agreed. Zara was instructed to accompany Jack as his guide and translator, a task she accepted with great reluctance. "You do not understand what you are asking," she told him as they prepared for the expedition. "These creatures show no mercy." Jack packed light, bringing only a small bag of equipment. "Sometimes the most dangerous animals are just misunderstood," he said. "I want to see for myself." Zara thought the human was either very brave or very foolish. Either way, she feared she was leading him to his death. The hunting party left at dawn. 10 of the strongest Viridian warriors led the way, carrying weapons made of a strange blue metal. Zara and Jack followed behind them. The warriors wore thick protective gear that covered their blue skin, but Jack wore only the basic suit the humans had brought for exploring alien worlds. "Your suit will not stop Drakari claws," Zara warned him. "One swipe and you will die." Jack nodded but did not seem worried. "I understand the risk, but I need to move freely to observe." They traveled for 4 hours through dense forest. The plants grew taller as they went deeper, with strange flowers that opened and closed as the group passed. The warriors moved in perfect silence. Jack was quiet too, his eyes taking in everything around them. "We are entering Drakari territory now," the lead warrior said. His name was Nex, and he had killed 2 young Drakari in his life. Even for this, he was considered a great hero among the Viridians. Jack took out a small device and began scanning the area. The device made soft beeping sounds that made the warriors nervous. "Turn that off," Nex ordered. "Sound attracts them." "Just 1 minute," Jack said. "I'm picking up some interesting readings, high levels of a chemical compound in the soil here." Zara moved closer to Jack, curious despite her fear. "What kind of compound?" "I'm not sure yet, but it's concentrated in these areas where the Drakari have been active." Jack collected small samples of soil and plants, placing them in containers in his pack. The group moved deeper into the forest. The light changed from the bright yellow of open areas to a deep purple under the thick trees. The warriors spread out in a practiced formation, weapons ready. Jack stopped suddenly and held up his hand. "Wait," he whispered. "Listen." At first Zara heard nothing. Then she felt it, a low vibration in the ground, so faint that it was more feeling than sound. "It's coming," Nex said, raising his weapon. Form the defense circle. The warriors moved, quickly, creating a ring with their weapons pointing outward. Jack did not join them. Instead, he moved to a large tree and pressed a small device against its trunk. "What are you doing?" Zara hissed. "Get in the circle." "The vibrations are communication," Jack said, eyes fixed on his device. "The Drakari is sending out signals through the ground." "It is hunting," Nex corrected. "Those tremors are its footsteps." Jack shook his head. "No, they're too regular, too patterned. This is intentional communication." Before they could argue, a low growl came from the dense plants ahead. The warriors tensed, weapons aimed at the sound. "Get behind us," Nex told Jack and Zara. Jack didn't move. He was still watching his readings, completely focused despite the danger. The attack came from the side, not the front. A massive shape burst through the trees, moving so fast it was almost a blur. 6 powerful legs carried a body bigger than 2 Viridians put together. Its skin shifted colors from forest green to deep purple as it moved. Rows of spines along its back rose up, dripping with yellow poison. The warriors reacted instantly, firing their weapons at the beast. Energy blasts hit the Drakari's hide, leaving burn marks, but the creature barely slowed. It smashed into the circle of warriors, sending 3 flying with a sweep of its armored tail. Zara pulled Jack back as the battle exploded around them. The Drakari was the biggest she had ever seen or heard of. Its 4 eyes glowed red with rage as it snapped massive jaws at the warriors. "We must run," Zara shouted, tugging at Jack's arm. But Jack was not looking at the fight. He was staring at something else. "Those plants," he said, pointing to some tall flowers with red centers. "The Drakari was feeding on them before we disturbed it." "This is no time for plant study," Zara cried. The battle was going badly. 2 warriors were down, maybe dead. The others could not get close enough to use their weapons effectively. The Drakari was too fast, too strong. Then it happened. The massive creature turned and saw Jack and Zara. It paused its attack on the warriors and focused all 4 of its glowing eyes on them. A deep growl rumbled from its throat. "Don't move," Jack said quietly. "Stand absolutely still." Zara froze in terror as the Drakari began moving toward them. Her legs wanted to run, but she knew running was useless. The beast would catch them in seconds. The warriors tried to attract the creature's attention, firing their weapons near its feet. But the Drakari ignored them. It was fixed on Jack and Zara now. "It's going to charge," Zara whispered, certain these were her last moments alive. Jack slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out a small round device. "Trust me," he said, never taking his eyes off the approaching Drakari. The beast was 30 steps away now. 20. Its poisoned spines were fully extended, dripping deadly venom onto the ground where it sizzled against the plants. Jack pressed a button on the device. A low sound began to pulse from it, so deep that Zara felt it more than heard it. The sound created a vibration in the ground, similar to what they had felt before, but stronger, more defined. The Drakari stopped. Its head tilted to one side, then the other. The glow in its eyes dimmed slightly. "What are you doing?" Zara whispered. "Speaking its language," Jack replied softly. "Or trying to." The Drakari moved forward again, but slower now. Its movements were less aggressive, more cautious. It stopped 10 steps away from them, its massive head lowering to better see the strange human. Jack adjusted something on the device. The vibrations changed pattern. The Drakari's spines began to lower slightly. "Impossible," Nex said from behind them. He and the other warriors watched in shock as the deadliest predator on their world stood calmly in front of the human. Jack took a slow step forward. The Drakari tensed but did not attack. Another step. The beast's color shifted, the purple fading, to a lighter blue. "The colors reflect its emotional state," Jack said, not looking away from the creature. "Blue means it's calm, curious. No one has ever been this close to a live adult Drakari without being attacked," Zara said in wonder. Jack reached slowly into his pack and pulled out one of the red-centered flowers he had collected. He held it out toward the beast. The Drakari's nostrils flared. It took a step closer, then another. With shocking gentleness, it extended its front limb and took the flower from Jack's hand. As it ate the flower, its color shifted completely to blue. The spines on its back flattened entirely. "I knew it," Jack said with quiet excitement. "These aren't mindless killers. They're intelligent, and they have specific needs and behaviors we can understand." The Drakari finished the flower and looked at Jack expectantly. He had no more to offer. "I need to get back to my equipment," Jack said. "I need to analyze these plants and the Drakari's response." The beast seemed to sense the change in Jack's attention. It made a low rumbling sound, then turned and moved away into the forest, not running, not attacking, just leaving. The warriors stood in stunned silence. Nex approached slowly, his weapon lowered. "In all our history," he said, "no one has ever done what you just did." Jack looked at the soil samples and the remaining flower in his hand. "Your people have been fighting these creatures for centuries, but I think you've been fighting a war that never needed to happen." Back at the Viridian settlement, news of Jack's encounter with the Drakari spread quickly. Many did not believe it. Others said it was a trick, or that the beast had been sick or injured. No healthy Drakari would ever act peacefully toward any living thing, they insisted. Jack paid no attention to the talk. He worked day and night in the small lab the Viridians had given the human visitors. He tested the red flowers and soil samples he had collected from the forest. Zara visited him on the third day after their return. Jack looked tired but excited. "I found it," he said when she entered. "The missing piece of the puzzle." He showed her the test results on his screen. Zara could not understand most of it, but Jack explained in simple terms. "These red flowers contain a chemical that the Drakari need. It acts on their brains in a special way. Without it, they become aggressive and unstable." Zara thought about this. "But these flowers have always grown in our forests." "Not always," Jack said. "Remember the great fires 300 years ago? The historical records show that these flowers were much more common before the fires. They grew everywhere. After the fires, they became rare, growing only in a few places deep in the forest." Now Zara understood. And that is when the Drakari attacks increased. "Exactly. They weren't hunting your people for food. They were desperate for these flowers. When they can't get enough, they become aggressive. It's like a sickness." Jack showed her more data on his screen. "I've been studying the sound patterns too. The vibrations we felt in the forest were the Drakari communicating with each other. They use the ground to send messages across long distances." "What kind of messages?" Zara asked. "Territory markers, warnings, and during certain seasons, mating calls." Jack looked at Zara with serious eyes. "The Festival of Light happens during their mating season. That's why attacks are so common then. Your people are walking through their territories at the worst possible time." Zara sat down trying to process this new information. For generations, her people had seen the Drakari as mindless killers. But if Jack was right, they were intelligent creatures with complex communication and specific needs. "We need to test this theory," Jack said. "I want to find the Drakari again, the same one we met in the forest." Zara shook her head. "The council will never allow it. They think we were lucky to escape the first time." "Then we won't ask the council," Jack said. "Just you and me." "That would be very dangerous," Zara said. "Yes, but sometimes we must take risks to find truth." The next morning, before the first sun rose, Zara and Jack slipped out of the settlement. Jack carried a pack filled with the red flowers he had collected and grown in the lab. He also brought his sound device, now programmed with the patterns he had recorded. They traveled faster without the warriors. Jack seemed to remember the way perfectly. By midday, they reached the area where they had encountered the Drakari. "Now we wait," Jack said. He set up his equipment and activated the sound device. The low vibrations pulsed through the ground. Hours passed. Zara grew nervous as the second sun began to set, casting long shadows through the trees. "Maybe it's not here anymore," she said. "Maybe it moved to a different territory." "It's here," Jack said confidently. "I can feel it watching us." As if on cue, there was movement in the trees ahead. The massive shape of the Drakari emerged slowly. Its color was a mix of green and blue, not the aggressive purple of their first meeting. "Stay calm," Jack whispered. "It remembers us." The beast approached carefully, stopping about 20 steps away. Its 4 eyes studied them with what looked like intelligence. Jack slowly reached into his pack and pulled out a handful of the red flowers. He placed them on the ground and stepped back. The Drakari moved forward, sniffed the flowers, and began to eat them. With each flower it consumed, its color shifted more toward blue. When the flowers were gone, it looked at Jack expectantly. "It wants more," Zara said. Jack nodded and placed another handful on the ground a bit closer to them. Again the Drakari came forward and ate. They repeated this process several times. Each time, Jack placed the flowers closer to where they stood. The final handful was just 3 steps away from them. The Drakari came forward without hesitation. As it ate the last flowers, it was close enough that Zara could feel its warm breath. She wanted to run but forced herself to stand still. When the flowers were gone, the beast did not leave. It looked directly at Jack, its blue color now bright and clear. Very slowly, Jack raised his hand palm out toward the Drakari. The creature stared at the hand, then moved its massive head forward until Jack's palm rested against its snout. Zara could not believe what she was seeing. No Viridian had ever touched a live Drakari except in battle. Yet here was Jack, gently, touching the most feared predator on their world. "It's okay," Jack said softly. "You can touch her too." "Her?" Zara asked, still frozen in place. "Yes, this is a female. Probably about 20 years old based on her size and markings." Zara shook her head. "I cannot." "Trust me," Jack said. "She won't hurt you." With more courage than she knew she had, Zara slowly extended her hand. The Drakari turned its head slightly, fixing 2 of its 4 eyes on her. Then, to her amazement, it moved so that her blue hand touched its rough skin. The touch lasted only a moment before the Drakari stepped back. It made a low rumbling sound, then turned and walked away into the forest. "She'll come back tomorrow," Jack said. "We're building trust." "What will you do next?" Zara asked as they prepared to return to the settlement. "I'm going to ask her to help us," Jack said. "The Festival of Light is in 6 days. Thousands of your people will travel through these forests. Instead of fighting the Drakari, I want to show them a better way." "The council will never agree to this," Zara warned. "They will say it is too dangerous." Jack looked back at the forest, where the Drakari had disappeared. "Sometimes the most dangerous path is the only way to peace. Your people and the Drakari have fought for 300 years. It's time for that to end." That night, Jack presented his findings to the council. He explained about the flowers, the communication patterns, and his peaceful encounters with the Drakari. Most of the council members did not believe him. They said one friendly interaction did not erase centuries of attacks and deaths. "The festival cannot be changed," Elder Krell said firmly. "Our people must reach the sacred pools. The warriors will clear the paths as they always have. And Drakari will die. And Viridians will die," Jack said. "A cycle that can be broken." "How?" asked one council member. "Let me show you," Jack replied. "Give me 2 days. I will bring the Drakari to the edge of the settlement, not to attack, but to demonstrate that they can be peaceful." The council chamber erupted in shouts of protest and fear. Many called Jack crazy or foolish. Only Zara stood with him. "I have seen what he can do," she told the council. "We should give him this chance." After much argument, the council agreed to give Jack one chance to prove his theory. They would not risk the entire settlement, however. Only a small group would be allowed to witness his demonstration, and it would take place at a safe distance from the main buildings. Jack spent the next day preparing. He grew more of the red flowers in the lab using a special process that made them mature faster. He also improved his sound device, making it stronger and clearer. Zara helped him carry everything to a large clearing at the edge of the settlement. The area was surrounded by tall trees on three sides, with the Viridian buildings visible in the distance. "Are you sure this will work?" Zara asked as they set up. "What if she doesn't come? Or worse, what if she comes but attacks?" "She won't attack," Jack said with confidence. "We've built trust. And she'll come because she wants these flowers. They make her feel better, healthier." By sunset, everything was ready. A small platform had been built where the council members and witnesses would stand, safely elevated above the ground. Jack had scattered the red flowers in a wide circle in the middle of the clearing. The council members arrived just before dark, along with 20 warriors armed with weapons. Captain Lisa Brown and 2 other humans from the ship came too, curious about Jack's work. "This is very dangerous," Lisa said to Jack. "Are you certain about this?" "I'm certain," Jack replied. "These creatures aren't the monsters everyone thinks. They are." As night fell, Jack activated his sound device. The deep vibrations pulsed through the ground, calling out to the forest. Everyone waited in tense silence. An hour passed, then another. Some of the council members began to grumble that they were wasting their time. Elder Krell looked at Jack with disappointment. "Perhaps your beast has more sense than to come so close to our settlement," he said. Just as the last light faded from the sky, a low rumble came from the forest edge. Everyone turned to look as trees swayed and parted. The massive shape of the Drakari emerged into the clearing. Several warriors raised their weapons. "Hold!" Nex commanded them. "Wait and watch." The Drakari paused at the edge of the clearing. Its color shifted between green and purple as it surveyed the scene. When it spotted Jack standing alone in the middle, the purple began to fade. Jack held up his hand in greeting. He spoke to the beast in a calm, even voice. "Hello again. I brought you something." The Drakari took a cautious step forward, then another. It moved slowly into the clearing, its eyes fixed on Jack. From the platform, gasps and whispers broke out. None of the witnesses had ever seen a living Drakari this close. Its size alone was terrifying. Bigger than their largest transport vehicle, with muscles that rippled under its scaled skin. "Stay calm," Jack called to the group. "Don't make any sudden movements or loud noises." The Drakari continued forward until it reached the first scatter of red flowers. It sniffed them, then began to eat. As it consumed the flowers, its color shifted more toward blue. "Watch the color change," Jack explained to the witnesses. "Blue means calm and content. Purple is agitated or threatened. When they attack your people, they're always purple, right?" Elder Krell nodded slowly, his 4 eyes wide with amazement. The Drakari moved around the circle, eating more flowers. It came closer and closer to where Jack stood. When it reached him, it stopped and lowered its massive head. A collective gasp rose from the platform as Jack reached out and touched the creature's snout. The Drakari made a low, rumbling sound that vibrated through the clearing. "She's greeting me," Jack said. "This sound is friendly communication." Then Jack did something that made everyone, even Zara, hold their breath. He walked to the side of the Drakari and placed his hand on its flank. The beast remained perfectly still. "I'm going to try something new now," Jack called out. "Please, everyone stay very quiet." With slow, deliberate movements, Jack climbed onto the Drakari's back. The creature turned its head to look at him, but made no move to throw him off. "Impossible," whispered Elder Krell. "In all our history, no one has ever—" Jack sat comfortably on the Drakari's back. He leaned forward and spoke softly to the beast. Then he made a gentle motion with his hand. To everyone's shock, the Drakari began to walk in a circle around the clearing, carrying Jack like a willing mount. "The vibration device," Jack explained as they passed near the platform. "She can feel it against her skin. Different patterns tell her what I'm asking her to do." After completing the circle, Jack guided the Drakari to stop in front of the platform. He slid down from its back and stood beside its massive head. "This is what's possible," he said to the council. "Not fear, not war, understanding. The Drakari aren't mindless killers. They're intelligent creatures who need our help as much as we need theirs." Elder Krell stepped forward to the edge of the platform. "How can they help us?" "The Festival of Light is in 4 days. Instead of fighting the Drakari along the pilgrimage route, we can work with them. Feed them these flowers, communicate with them using the sound patterns. They will let your people pass safely." The council members looked at each other, doubt and wonder mixing in their expressions. "It would take many flowers to feed all the Drakari in the forest," one said. "We can grow them," Jack replied. "My ship has the technology to produce large quantities quickly. We can start tonight." "And how will we communicate with them?" "We cannot all ride on their backs as you do," said another council member. "I can. Teach your people the basic sound patterns, and I can make more devices like mine." Jack looked at Captain Brown, who nodded her agreement. "Earth is willing to share this technology as part of our cultural exchange," she said. The Drakari shifted position, drawing everyone's attention back to it. It made a series of low rumbles, then turned its head to look directly at Elder Krell. "She's waiting for your answer," Jack said. "Will you try peace instead of war?" Elder Krell stood silent for a long moment. Then he stepped down from the platform and walked slowly toward Jack and the Drakari. The warriors tensed, but Jack held up his hand to stop them from interfering. The old Viridian stopped 3 steps away from the massive beast. He looked into its 4 glowing eyes. "For 300 years we have feared and hated your kind," he said to the Drakari. "We have lost many lives to your claws and venom. But perhaps there is another way." He turned to Jack. "You have shown us something we thought impossible. If you can teach our people to do what you have done, the Festival of Light may not need to be a time of death this year." The Drakari rumbled again and lowered its head, almost like a bow. "She understands more than you think," Jack said with a smile, "and she's willing to help." Zara watched in amazement from the platform. In just a few days, this human had changed everything her people believed about their world's most feared predator. If Jack could tame the deadliest beast on Terralux, what other impossible things might be possible? The next 3 days passed in a rush of activity. The human ship turned its growing chambers into flower production centers. Thousands of the red flowers were grown and harvested. Jack taught a group of young Viridians how to use the sound devices, showing them the patterns that meant hello, thank you, and we come in peace. Zara learned faster than anyone. She spent hours practicing with Jack's original device, feeling the vibrations and memorizing their meanings. "You have a natural talent for this," Jack told her after a long training session. "You understand the Drakari better than most of your people." "I never thought I would say this, but I like them," Zara admitted. "When they are calm and blue, they are almost beautiful." The female Drakari, which Jack had named Luna because her scales sometimes shimmered, like moonlight, stayed near the settlement. She slept in the clearing at night and helped with training during the day. More Drakari appeared at the forest edge, drawn by Luna's presence and the smell of the flowers. By the 3rd day, 5 more had been coaxed into peaceful interactions with the Viridians. The day before the festival arrived, thousands of pilgrims had gathered at the settlement preparing for their journey to the sacred pools. Many were afraid when they heard about the plan to work with the Drakari instead of fighting them. "These beasts have killed our families for generations," one old pilgrim complained to Elder Krell. "How can we trust them now?" "Because we never truly understood them before," Krell replied. "The human has shown us a new way." That evening, Jack called a meeting of all the pilgrims. He stood on a platform with Zara and Luna beside him. The OI, massive Drakari, was calm, her color a peaceful blue. "Tomorrow you begin your sacred journey," Jack said to the crowd. "For too long, this journey has been marked by fear and death. This year will be different." He explained about the flowers and the sound devices. 10 Viridian youths demonstrated by communicating with Luna, making her walk in circles and bow her head on command. Each group of pilgrims will have one guide, trained in Drakari communication, Jack continued. They will carry flowers and sound devices. The Drakari will not attack if you follow these guides' instructions. Many in the crowd looked doubtful. Some looked terrified at the sight of Luna, even in her peaceful blue state. An old female pilgrim stepped forward. "I have made this journey 12 times, she said. "I have seen friends torn apart by these beasts. I have run for my life while others screamed behind me." She looked up at Luna with fear and anger in her eyes. How can I trust that this one will not kill me tomorrow? Instead of answering, Jack turned to Zara. Show them, he said softly. Zara stepped forward. She activated her sound device, creating a special pattern that Jack had taught her. Luna lowered her body to the ground in response. With graceful movements, Zara climbed onto Luna's back. The crowd gasped. This was not the strange human doing the impossible, but one of their own. I was afraid too, Zara called out to the pilgrims. All my life I was taught to fear and hate the Drakari, but fear comes from not understanding. Jack has shown us what is possible when we take time to understand. She made another sound pattern, and Luna rose to her full height, with Zara on her back. Then, to everyone's amazement, Zara guided Luna down from the platform and into the crowd. Pilgrims stepped back in fear, but Zara kept Luna moving slowly forward. The massive beast's color remained peaceful blue as she walked among the Viridians. You can touch her, Zara encouraged them. She will not hurt you. At first, no one moved. Then the old female pilgrim who had spoken stepped forward with shaking hands. She reached out and touched Luna's flank. The Drakari turned her head to look at the old Viridian but made no threatening move. She's warm, the old pilgrim said in wonder, and her skin feels like the sacred stones at the pools. Slowly, other pilgrims came forward to touch Luna. Children were lifted up to feel her scales. The fear in the crowd began to melt away. By nightfall, most of the pilgrims had accepted the new plan. The trained guides distributed the sound devices and bags of flowers among the pilgrim groups. Everything was ready for the morning journey. As the first sun rose the next day, the pilgrimage began. Jack, Zara, and Luna led the way, with thousands of Viridians following behind. As they entered the forest, other Drakari appeared on the path ahead. The pilgrims tensed, old fears rising again. But the guides activated their sound devices, creating the peaceful vibrations Jack had taught them. The Drakari responded, their colors shifting to blue as they moved to the sides of the path. The journey that had once been filled with screams and blood was now almost like a parade. At each Drakari territory, the guides would stop, make the greeting sounds and offer flowers. The great beasts would eat, then either move away or walk alongside the pilgrims for a while. By midday, they reached the most dangerous part of the route, a narrow valley where many pilgrims had died in past years. Here, the largest Drakari on the planet made their homes. Be ready, Jack warned the guides. These are the oldest and strongest of their kind. As they entered the valley, a massive shadow fell across the path. The biggest Drakari anyone had ever seen stood blocking the way. It was nearly twice Luna's size, with deep scars across its face and back. Its color was a threatening purple. The guides made the greeting sounds, but the huge beast did not respond. It took a step forward, spines rising along its back. It's too old, one guide said in fear. It doesn't know the patterns. Jack stepped forward, Luna at his side. He made a different sound pattern, one he had never used before. Luna responded by making a deep rumble in her throat. The giant Drakari paused. It looked at Luna, then at Jack. Slowly, its color began to shift from purple to green, then to blue. Its spines lowered. Jack held out a handful of flowers. The giant beast came forward with surprising gentleness and took them from his hand. The pilgrims continued their journey through the valley, passing more Drakari without a single attack. By sunset, they reached the sacred pools, the first pilgrimage in 300 years, with no deaths. As the Viridians performed their sacred rituals, at the pools Jack stood with Zara at the edge of the gathering. You've changed everything for my people, she said. The Drakari will never be seen as monsters again. Jack smiled. I didn't change anything that wasn't already possible. I just showed a different way to see. In the days that followed, the Viridians began creating permanent Drakari sanctuaries throughout their territories. The flowers were planted in large fields where the great beasts could feed peacefully. Young Viridians eagerly trained to become Drakari communicators, with Zara leading the first school. Before the human ship departed Terralux, the council presented Jack with their highest honor, a crystal carved in the shape of a Drakari. Elder. Krell spoke at the ceremony. For 300 years we fought a war that did not need to be fought. We feared what we did not understand. This human has taught us that sometimes the deadliest beast is not a beast at all, but a friend we have, not yet met. Jack accepted the crystal with a bow. The greatest discoveries often come when we look at old problems in new ways. My people have a saying, understanding is the beginning of peace. As the human ship rose into the sky, Zara stood with Luna, at her side, watching until it disappeared among the stars. The Drakari made a low, almost sad rumble. I know, Zara said, placing her hand on Luna's flank. I will miss him too. But look what he left us. A whole new world where we can live, together in peace. Luna's color shifted to a bright, happy blue as they turned and walked back to the settlement side by side.